How's it going, lads and lasses? It's time for another figure review, and we're continuing with this line from Jada Toys for their first series of Universal Monsters figures. In the previous video, we covered their Dracula figure, which was really great. I'm super happy with that figure. And so this one will be covering Frankenstein's monster, which is I have a couple issues with it. Well, yeah, I'd say probably only a couple, but we'll get into that here in a second. I'll briefly cover some of the things that I did in the previous one. Jada Toys, they're usually more of a die-cast company. They usually make figures in kind of smaller scale. Sometimes they're articulated, sometimes not, and they'll usually come with a vehicle. They had the Halo license for a time, and now this is really their first line of articulated action figures, whether they be in 3 3/4 scale or this 1/12 scale, which is the 6-inch, 6.5-inch scale. So let's take a closer look at this figure. This is really where my main issue lies with this figure. It actually doesn't look as bad on camera, but when you have it in person, you'll kind of see the facial detail isn't really up to par. Like I said in the last video, these are more like Marvel Legends tier figures, but they actually did a pretty solid job for what it was with Dracula. My main issue with this the Frankenstein's monster figure, is I don't know. He's just the shape of the face is a little off, and maybe that has to do more with the paint app. I will say his nose kind of has like a hook nose. I don't know. It looks kind of weird, and he's a little bit bulky. Boris Karloff's a pretty bulky guy, which is part of why he was, in the role in the first place. But I feel like they overdid it a little bit. He should be taller rather than wider, if that makes sense. But anyways, let's get into the articulation. It's pretty similar to what Dracula had. You got your typical ball-jointed neck there. Arm that swivels out, and 360. Although this one's a little bit stiffer I'm not going to go the full 360 because of his coat. His coat's bigger than Dracula's. Double jointed elbows. And swivel at the wrist, and the hand can turn 360 degrees. This one does, I wasn't sure about Dracula, but this one does have like a ball joint on the torso there, and it's a lot freer. Even though he has this bulky coat, you can still get a pretty decent range of motion out of it. And he also has a waist swivel. It's just a swivel, there's no ball joint there. The leg articulation on these figures is really good. It can kick out really far there, and they can do full splits just about. Frankenstein's monster is inhibited by the coat, but still pretty good. And you got the double jointed knees. You got his nice bulky feet there to give him a little bit more height, like they did in the original. And it's got sort of that pseudo Hasbro ankle rocker. It's not quite that, but it's in the vein of it. That about covers the articulation. So now we'll look at the accessories. He comes with an alternate head that's kind of, grunting in pain. This would be like when he's in chains. And I think I might actually like this head better than the other one. It doesn't look as weirdly proportioned. One set of alternate hands, one for each. I have the alternate hands on right now, that they're kind of like the gripping style hands. And then you have two shackles, and they each have a shackle on each end. This one, I assume, is more for the arms because it's shorter, and this one's for the legs because it's the longer of the two. Okay. So I'm going to scoot that over because just like with Dracula, I've got a comparison to make. So this is something kind of in a similar vein. This was, I don't know what company made it. You know what, let me look at the bottom here of the foot, see if it says. I didn't think about that last time. It just says Universal Studios, so it might have just been generic action figure company commissioned to make Universal Monsters figures. Anyways, these were part of it was like a 1-series line. They were basically Universal Studios park souvenirs. You get the whole set. It had Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, the Wolfman, the Mummy, the creature from the Black Lagoon. I think it might have had the Bride of Frankenstein, but I'm not sure. And you get all of them. You could build a big Frankenstein figure. It's basically the same articulation. Everything is this, just probably like 3-4 times bigger. And, you know, it was something, you know, for kids. You know, like if I went to Universal Studios and I saw these action figures there, I would have been like, I need all of them. And as an adult, I still would have been like, I need all of them. But it just kind of fills the same niche that these newer ones fill, though these are more widely available because you can get them on places like Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth and Amazon. But it fills that niche of, here's something cool that I can get as a souvenir for my kids for going to the park, or here's something cool I can get for myself as a souvenir for going to the park. So it's not meant to be this insane collector's grade quality figure, and that's where I give these a bit of a break, because it's meant to be like a Marvel Legends or a Star Wars Black Series, where it bridges that gap between something a kid can play with and something a collector can pose. And for that niche, these figures are perfect. You know, there's nothing more you can really do with them. Like I said, I do have complaints with the face of this Frankenstein's monster figure, this newer one. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's the paint or if it's the mold, but it's just something's off with it. I might put the other head on. And then he is a bit bulkier than I think he should be. Just a bit, not too much, but it's just to that point where it kind of bothers me a bit. But, you know, all of that aside, it's still a figure that I would recommend. If you're a fan of the Universal Monsters, Frankenstein's monster's gotten a little bit more love than the other creatures because he is the face of the Universal Monsters. You know, he's basically the most iconic monster in cinema history when you think about it. So there's plenty out there, but I'm still glad that they made this. And if you can get your hands on it, they're not that hard to get. You can go on Big Bad Toy Store. I'm pretty sure Entertainment Earth's going to have them. Amazon has them, what have you. And they're not too bad, like $25. So that's going to do it for this video, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.